I need my reading glasses. Let me set this chat up the right way. All messages. What are you doing? Did you? He saw a reflection. He saw a reflection. He's chasing it. He thinks it's a. It might have been from my watch. Honey. He saw a reflection off my watch. He saw a reflection off my watch. Hey guys, so at any rate, like I said, the family's home. So this isn't going to be a real nice. Oh, hang on a second. So family's home, and my daughter is currently working. So this is the work computer, and that is her personal computer. So she's working. So what company is it you work for? Trust Think. She's doing a paid internship with a cybersecurity company. So what's everybody got going on? It's going to be hectic for a few days. I wanted to give you guys a heads up. Bladed Ginger, what's up, buddy? If you talk to David's son, let him know I need to talk to him. So yeah, it's going to be hectic for a few days. It's going to be kind of hard to film. On top of the fact that my thumb is still screwed up, it's definitely really sore. It's pretty much knitted back together, but it was a very deep cut. So it is pretty tender still because I got way down into the meat of the thumb. But it doesn't need a big bandage anymore. It's just got a little bit of Neosporin and a Band-Aid on it. But yeah, so the reason it's going to be a little hectic, let me show you. This happens every year, and I kind of planned ahead. I filmed stuff ahead, but all of their stuff from their 3-month trip to Japan is in my studio. So, but my wife did smuggle back like fucking 4 cases of my favorite Japanese beer. Ebisu. And there's different kinds this time. So she brought back this one. I don't know if there's any difference between these. And then this one, which is like supposed to be their premium, which it's already a pretty, it's a pretty premium beer to begin with. So guys, if you're here, please drop a like. I'm gonna get some coffee started. So they got back, they landed last night at like 9:30, but their bags didn't come out till 11.
Yeah, it was really annoying.
Their bags were on a different plane. So what they think is because their flight from Vancouver, their flight to Vancouver.
No. So our flight was from Hawaii, from Honolulu to San Diego. But a lot of times, because the flight was fully booked,
Yeah.
they'll put the checked bags into another flight that's
Oh.
the same destination.
So their bags were on a different flight than them. You know how like she was saying, like when the plane's completely full, they sometimes they'll put the checked bags. So they flew from Japan to Honolulu and from Honolulu to here. The flight from Honolulu to here was apparently like completely booked, but their bags were checked in Japan, so they wound up on a different flight. So it did take quite a while. I was sat downtown waiting on them till it was late. By the time we got home and everything, but they are home. But like I said, the studio is completely full of all their bags. And this happens every time. This happens every time they come back. So the studio's kind of tied up with, basically my wife has to go through everything. They have to wash all the clothes and stuff, that if any of it's dirty. So it's going to be a few days. I filmed a bunch of stuff. You're going to see some videos coming in the next few days that I had already filmed in prep for this. So guys, there's 16 of you here and no likes. Drop a like. It helps in the algorithm. So yeah, that's basically what's going to be going on. I am going to do some live feeds. right now it's kind of like I said, it's just I can't even really get to my stool and stuff. So I'll do some live feeds from out there in the intern. But I do have a bunch of videos coming up. There's one coming tomorrow. So it's about a really, really cool little gentleman's knife. So where did I put the coffee? So San Diego Sheriff's Department is pulled right up in front of my house for some reason. So yeah, it's just it's glad I'm glad to have him back. It was, as much as I love the fact that my daughter gets to spend time in Japan and get that cultural immersion and work on her Japanese and spend time with her cousins, it definitely is nice to have your family home. Even though for the first few days it's kind of, they've been gone for 3 months. They do this every summer, and you get used to them being gone. Oh, by the way, how's the audio? I didn't check to make sure I had everything connected. I just basically started the live feed. I can see that I've got audio, but is it staying consistent when I move around? So coffee is making. Audio is perfect. That's cool. But yeah, like I said, all of this stuff, they got to go through all this stuff. And it was a mess to begin with. I had been doing a bunch of stuff. I had stuff laying out everywhere because I was going through stuff, trying to make sure stuff that I hadn't. I got to get these bottles picked up. Guys, I am the worst about putting bottles and just leaving bottles, water bottles, sit on my workbench. There are a lot of cops out here. I don't know what happened. This is unusual that we have a lot of police here doing anything. So, but I wanted to show you guys, it is a beautiful day out here. Check out the roses. So you guys don't ever get to see this. This is the rose bushes that have been here since this house was built. They are massive. These rose bushes are as tall as I am. So I have a really nice side yard. Really nice yard here at this place. So there's probably going to be, if it shows up while we're doing this, there's probably going to be a live unboxing. Probably gonna be a live unboxing because remember I told you guys that my friend had all those points at Blade HQ. So he let me use all those points and I got a Taipan. So I've always wanted one, and Metal Complex did his video about the Taipan, but I wanted to check and see. He said that his Taipan was misground from side to side. But I noticed something on my OSS. Hey, Lace, what's going on? The wife and kid are back. Hang on a second. I'll let you say. Kiddo, Lacey, the lady that sent you the presents that time when she sent me the spray is here. She's actually, technically, she's working right now. How much do you get paid an hour?
23, 24.
I thought you made 27.
I don't know where you heard that, sir. That is above my pay grade. No, I was originally getting 25, and it makes too much money.
Oh, I forgot that I've got the lavalier. So she makes $23.23 an hour at her job that she's currently doing.
I'm not going to get paid anything next week.
Yeah, she's like I said, she's working for a cybersecurity company. She had a paper that she wrote about, what was it, the dangers of AI?
No, it's
The connection between AI and cybersecurity. So
AI can hurt cybersecurity.
or how AI can hurt cybersecurity. So she did a paper. It was originally supposed to just be like a quick, like 2-page research paper, and it turned into.
It was supposed to be a 3-page introductory paper, and it turned into like 29 pages.
She turned it into almost 30 pages, and so the owner of the company was kind of impressed with it, and they put it on the front page of the company's website. It's like a genetic breeding program, like from Dune, like the Kwisatz Haderach. I just happened to make a Reverend Mother by accident. So the other thing, I this thumb is not. It's not like it's a hazard. Like it's not like it's bad. Like, oh, I need to see a doctor. Guys, there's 20 of you here and only 2 likes. Just double tap the screen, and that's all it takes. And you drop a like. Like if you're here, it's just rude. So at any rate, this thumb is. I definitely got some. I clipped some nerve. So when I push here, it's pretty numb. But if I push a little bit further over here, I can feel it like all the way down, like here. So I definitely, there's some nerve involvement with that. That was a pretty deep, I got into my thumb about a half an inch. I definitely did get into it about a half an inch. And by all rights, it should have had several stitches. But being me, I don't like going to the hospital. And I don't like stitches. It's not that they hurt, it's just a inconvenience. And the fact is, with me being allergic to the numbing agents, they would have just had to basically stitch it. And by the time I get to the hospital, the actual numbness from the injury is pretty much gone. I was gonna stitch it myself because I do have a suture kit, and I looked at it and I was like, it's a weird, almost like a V. It just would have been a pain. So I was like, I just put pressure on it. I got the bleeding stopped, and then I just packed it with bacitracin to aid with the. You ever seen a boxing cut man like stuff Vaseline or bacitracin into a cut? Same kind of thing. It stops the bleeding, and so I just did that. What was this? Lace said, laid it open good. I seen, dang it. I'm a state of void states. I've stapled myself closed before. I don't hate the idea of staples put on a thumb. Yeah, it's pretty well healed and knitted. It's just still really sensitive. Guys, I got to pitch Coffee Brand Coffee for you guys again. This stuff's great. There's a link down below that saves you 10%. It's just incredible coffee. Oh, talked with KATSU Knives. So they sent me, let me grab it. They sent me this knife. It's over here. So they sent me, this is the FB03, and I've been messing around with it a little bit. I haven't done a lot with it, but this is their take on a Japanese style outdoor knife, and I can't remember the name of it. Yuka, Japanese hunting knife. Kore no oname wa nani? Oboiteru? Like the big Japanese hunting knives. Do you know the name of that type of knife? She doesn't remember. She doesn't know. Okay. Oh well. At any rate, they sent me one of these. I'm digging it. I'm going to do a little bit of testing with it, but I think that the person that can really give it the best beating possible, because for me to do what Scab does over at Choir Boys Cutlery, for me to do what he can do with this, I got to drive basically up to Mount San Miguel and get off the trail and then beat on stuff. And it's not the greatest. Everything's got sand and stuff in it, so you get some false readings on edge retention and stuff. But this is in AUS 8, and this is a beast of a knife. It's got a really nice broad blade, lots of weight in it. It's not too heavy though, but it's got this really great handle that comes down. Can you see it? Like, it's not just a full curve. There's some nuance to the handle. There's a little hump here. This finger guard, it comes up into the finger guard like a choil, and then you have a choil forward. But then it's got this big pommel and all that. But the micarta is what really stands out. This thing is great in hand. It's great. It's not at all slick. Full tang construction. and that is a big full tang. So this is a great outdoors knife. This is the first of the KATSU knives fixed blades I've seen. I don't know if they have other fixed blades. So it's definitely robust. So I'm going to let Scab have his way with that one for a while. I'm going to get it sent off to him soon. I just got to get it packed up. I got to get some stuff packed back up to Jared, and then I've got to get with Jared. He said he was going to send some stuff, but Jared's had a bunch of stuff going on. So if you guys haven't known, if you don't know what's going on, I don't know if Jared has put it out and said it, but he's had a lot of technical issues. That's why he hasn't done a lot of live feeds. He's got problems with his computer. They had a bunch of storms. He was he didn't have power. They didn't have internet. So Jared has been doing everything from his phone. So I know that his videos haven't been, his lives haven't been going out, but go show Jared over at Knives Knives some love, because he's struggling. He's struggling with some shit right now with technical stuff, like having a hard time with some of the technical stuff for his channel. Anybody get anything new? There's 21 of you guys here, 5 likes. Anybody get anything new? I have something new coming. I have a couple something news coming. Hopefully I get prototypes for my knife before too long. I want to show you guys that. So KATSU Knives is doing a folding knife. I finally got a folding knife design figured out that I wanted to do, and I worked with them. They actually, it was their idea to do. I asked them, I was like, hey, I have a couple designs that I want to get done. Other companies haven't bit, and I was like, they've been cool to work with. And KATSU was like, yeah, send it to us. And so I sent them a design, which is basically the drop point version of the sea snake. So it's a small little fixed blade that's done, you know, in a drop point fashion. And I was calling it the habu, because in Japan, so sea snakes are prevalent around Japan, and then you have on land in southern Japan, you have something that's called habu, and it's like one of the only venomous snakes in Japan. So, so they are doing that knife, but they asked me, I was like, well, can we do it as a folder? And I was like, if you want to try and convert that folder, or that fixed blade into a folder, that'd be great. I'd love to have a folder. And they did it, and they sent me a bunch of stuff. I looked at different lock mechanisms, and I did a poll. But the fact is, like, I want it to have that snappy action, like flipper action. And the problem is, I know this is going to drive people nuts. I wanted to do something besides a frame lock. The problem is, I don't know if you guys know, but most button locks don't have a snappy action. Most Axis, I've never had an Axis lock that had a snappy action. This is an Axis style crossbar lock. You can't flip this. Like, you put a flipper tab on it, the detent is too soft. And yes, EDC and Lace says I haven't made a Jared stream in like the past 4 months. I haven't either. Bladed Ginger, could you hit me up with them? I need more. Yeah, I can do that. I can get you in touch with them. It's not a big deal. So we're right now in the going through and making like tweaks to the design, and they're going to send me some prototypes hopefully soon. So my wife's playing with the dog. She hasn't got to see the dog. Here, watch this. This is what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? This is... He's looking at me like, why did they come back? Why did they... My wife just threw it all the way off the end of the couch. So, yeah, they're going to... What was this? DEF CON's new button lock is snappy. Have you tried them? I have not. if you want to send me one for, if you guys have got stuff you want to see on the channel, like Lace, I know you've got a lot of knives. You got a lot of Spydercos I might not have done reviews on. If you want to send me some for review, I'll get them back to you as soon as I can. And then if you've got one of those bladed ginger, absolutely. But no, I have not gotten to see one. I don't buy, the thing is now, the way things are, if Jared doesn't send it to me or a company doesn't send it to me, then you're probably not going to see it. Because I don't, especially like I'm laid off. I'm on unemployment right now, so it's kind of hard. I did get a couple knives. They're playing hide and seek. So yeah, hit me up. I'll DM you. I'll tell you what. I'm just gonna DM you my phone number later today, and then that way I don't, because I hate DMs. I have a bunch of, now my buddy has something that is a little bit rare that we're going to get to see before too long on the channel, and I think it's absolutely hideous. And it's the Spidey card. And it's a knife that is the same size as a, it's the same size as a credit card. It slides in your wallet. And he was like, oh, it's amazing. And I looked at it and I was like, that is hideous. That's disgusting. I hate it. It's repugnant. It's the ugly. Even by Spyderco standards, I'm like, that's ugly. What are you doing, Chunk? Get in here. Well, where is she? So my daughter's hiding from the dog. Let's see how this goes. Huh? Where's Isabel? Why'd she go all the way upstairs? Did she forget we have a downstairs bathroom? Oh, she's in that bathroom. Where's she at, bud? Where's Isabel? Where's she at? Where is she?
He went up the stairs and he's not there. Where's Isabel?
Where is she, buddy? He doesn't know where you're at. Oh, now he does. He's such a goofball. What are you doing?
Open. You able to open them?
No, she's got it closed. So, guys, if you could do me a favor and just drop a like on the video, it helps push it up the algorithm. I really want to know what's going on with the fucking cops next, with the cops being here.
Hey. No.
Apparently he got the door open. What'd he do? He's got a thing with toilet paper. I don't know what it is. He will grab an entire roll of toilet paper and take off with it. And you got to chase him down and get it from him. And then he's got he'll just like get a whole mouthful of toilet paper. Like, so, but at any rate, like I was saying, so that folding knife design is coming hopefully soon. They said they wanted to do it as a folder. There's probably still going to be a fixed blade version of it. Would you get another dog? Why wouldn't I get this one? He's just a little over a year old. So, yeah, but that's, my wife's getting ready to start unpacking stuff. And that's, like I said, with them being back, it's until stuff gets packed, until the packing stuff gets, it's going to be hard to film. So I'm going to try and do a bunch of live feeds. That way, if I do run out of pre-recorded videos, and like I said, with the new camera, I can film in other locations and stuff like that. But I also just kind of want to spend some time with my kid. You know what I mean? So, oh my God, my Border Collie's my favorite. Oh my God, Border Collie's favorite thing in the world to destroy toilet paper rolls. Makes absolutely, yeah, since he was a baby. I don't know what he's doing. My wife was like, what? They're dirty. What's up with this dog? So, I told you I cleaned the entire house before you came home. I didn't just clean the living room. I cleaned the entire house several times. Thoughts on Protech Godfather? Okay, so here is my take on Protech. I like Dave. He's a great, great dude. I like Protech knives. They're well made. My problem with Protechs is their action can be a bit problematic. And it's not that it's not that it's not good action. Let me explain, because I've seen it happen, and people argue with me like, "God, never happened. That didn't happen." It happened. I saw a guy at a knife show with a Protech, and I've seen a guy do a video on a Protech. The problem that I have with Protechs is how stiff that spring is. So this is a Heretic Medusa out the side. It's got just about the perfect amount of snap, but you can still hear that snap, that click, that pop, that bang. Use a word that, find the word you want, Mike. Words are hard, guys. Hear this? That's still a lot of impact. That's much more than you get with your average flipper. Your average flipper, you'll get some, but you can hear that impact is nowhere near as powerful. And so what happens is you start to get some blade play going this way, back and forth, because the stop pin that it slams into starts to deform. And so that happens a lot faster in Protechs than other autos. And the other one is, I've seen guys, two individuals that have deployed their knife and it broke off at the pivot. Like, it broke the blade across, because you got a hardened steel blade, that level of impact. Protechs are too heavy on the spring, in my opinion. They just absolutely have got too much snap. And then, as Bladed Ginger said here, it's aggressive sometimes. I've seen Protechs fly out of people's hands. I have seen at a show a guy deploy a Protech, I think it was California Custom Knife Show or Blade Show West, I can't remember which. A guy pushed the button on one of the Protechs and the knife literally came out of his hand. He didn't have a good enough grip on it. Because even this one with a little bit less, watch my hand, you can see it. There's recoil in it. So that's, I mean, that's just kind of one of those, and that's, I do like knives that do not flip sometimes, like this one. You can deploy this nice and slow. This knife is not something that you're like slamming open here, and it's not a flipper. And so this knife is going to hold up better than other knives that have got the snappy action. This is the problem with some of these knives that I love that have this incredible snappy action. You're giving up longevity for that a little bit. And so what happens is, like, you get that stop pin deformation. Yeah, you can throw that away. So you get that stop pin deformation, and then you get blade play and lock rock and things like that. Guys, double tap the screen, drop a like. I'm not asking you to donate. I'm just asking you to drop a like, because it pushes it up the algorithm. The video I did the other day where I cut my thumb that you guys just watched, that you guys watched the other day, that by far has been one of my best videos for a while. I think a lot of you guys liked it. I'm going to do some more videos that are like that, where I just basically sit and I talk about some stuff and do what my daughter's talking about, taking my car and going shopping. That's something I'm never going to get used to. It's her being old enough to just go and do stuff on her own. One moment. Are we still trying to watch Wolverine, Deadpool, Wolverine this week? Yeah, because we can always go watch it some evening. Tonight? We'll see. I don't know if it's playing. If it is, we can go to the drive-in and watch it.
Yeah, they have it Tuesday, but it's 11:05.
That's fine. It's up to you. I just have to do a thumbnail. Sorry, I'm having a conversation with my daughter. We're probably going to go to the drive-in movie theater around the corner here tonight and watch it. Do they have it later in the week so that you don't have like so much? Because I know you have to. Well, I was saying because I know you're going to be busy with your school stuff for setting up your classes. She's enrolling in classes. Deadpool and Wolverine is amazing, says Bladed Ginger. Isabel? I got to tell you, I love Ryan Reynolds is like one of the best comedic actors, period.
Go to two different movies because they play Alien
Alien
and
and Deadpool.
they're playing Alien at 8:05 and then Deadpool and Wolverine at 11.
We don't have to watch both, but it's, I mean,
Pay for
we're paying for both movies. They do, what is this? You saw it. Bladed Ginger says he watched it last weekend. Do you use stropping compound or just leather? Well, how convenient that EDC and Lace is here. And Lace, you need to make an Etsy shop. I do use stropping compound, and I have a couple that I use. Now, Lacey has got some of the best stropping compound you're going to find. She has sent me 2 bottles of the 9 micron, which I find to be just about the best. So the stropping compound that she sent me, it's a spray, and it's not an emulsion like what you get with the gunny juice. It is definitely a spray. Here it is. I'm trying to work around my wife. And it is so heavily loaded with diamond. Now, I will use just plain leather for some things. But the fact is, I've loaded most of my strops with Lacey's 9 micron. Now, this is a 2-sided strop, and you can do recurves on this. This is Lacey's 9 micron, and on this side, it needs to be redone. But there are some steels that respond really well to chromium oxide. And so this has chromium oxide on one side, and Lace's oh God, almost dropped it on my toe. Her spray on one side, and then this is chromium oxide, especially if you're doing something like Nitnell, like SM100. SM100 does not like diamond. It'll strip diamond right out of your strop, and it will stick in the material, and you basically have to sharpen it back out. I don't know what it is about the gumminess of the titanium and nickel alloy together, but when you run it down when they run it down the strop, it's like it strips it out. So this is for SM100 and like kitchen knives and things like that for quick touch up. I also have some 9 micron paste that is okay, but it's not great. And I have a lot of it because I bought it to test it, and I didn't realize when I bought it that I was getting like 10 tubes of it, and I haven't even used 1 tube. It does okay, but it has a tendency to be a little bit gummy. So this is loaded with Lacey's 9 micron. Well, and that's what I was showing you. So I have a bunch of different strops because there's a reason. So this is balsa wood, and it works good for a lot of stuff because it's got that soft material. And so if you like, especially the fact that I do convex edges, it's really good for that because it's got a good bit of give to it. And then I also like a suede for certain things. So finished leather is good for some things, and then suede is good for some things. This is my Spyderco ultra fine ceramic, and I have loaded one side of it with 9 micron, and then the other side is just raw. So it's nice for doing specific things. But you see, I've got several different strops. I got all kinds of sharpening stones and stuff here. So it just depends. It just depends on the steel you're using and what you want to do with it. And the different strop materials will give you a different edge. That coarser that coarser leather strop that is almost like a suede. If you load that with 9 micron, you get a much more aggressive feel to the edge when it comes off because it's loaded in that, and it does a really good job. What is this? I used WD-40 to keep it from annealing. I'm not putting WD-40 on a leather strop or a balsa wood strop. I don't know. That's I prefer balsa wood and horse leather the most, but basswood is excellent, as is suede. So it just depends. 14C28N always going to be on suede. It gives you, it crisps up those already really aggressive carbides. Something like 20CV M390, it does better on the finish style leather, like the finished leather like this. It does great on this. Balsa wood is a good starting point for both. So like if you do it on balsa wood, you get kind of the same effects as the suede, not quite as pronounced, but then you can go to the finished leather and just get a really crisp edge. And if you've got good strops, you can go a very long time between sharpenings. I also have this leather strop, and this one is loaded with that paste. And then this side is loaded with 9 micron, Lacey's 9 micron spray. So this has got that 9 micron paste on it, and it works really well for certain things. So, you know, when you're into sharpening a lot, there's no one final solution to everything, except for like really good diamond stones. Like that's a good solution. But as you can see, those are aluminum oxide and corundum. This is all diamond. These are corundum and aluminum oxide. This is ceramics. This is diamond, and these are all ceramics. So it just depends on what you're sharpening and how you're doing it. I will say the best all-around stone I've found is this Sharpening Pro. This is the Sharpening Pro. This is the orange medium. It's 1,000 grit equivalent. It is great. And the 1,000 grit, and then you can go from that 1,000 grit right to an 8,000 grit if you want, with 1,000 grit with this, or 8,000 grit on that. You can definitely get into it. G10 steel is my blade. I don't know. Anything I need? I can't think of anything.
Do you want me to go now? Is it better to go?
Where are you going? The third, Walmart or the commissary?
Probably Walmart because I want to get fruit too and like local and stuff.
Okay. So my daughter's getting ready to go shopping. There's stuff that she wants that I was unable to get. She sent me a list of stuff. What's the max grit you would sharpen to? Okay, so that is also determined on the steel. So 14C28N is a steel that takes a really good edge all the way up to about 8,000 to 10,000 grit because of the carbides. On more modern super steels, a lot of them, I stay closer to the 1,000 grit range, because the fact is, as much as everybody loves the new super steels and stuff that have come out, they're done to a point where they don't have the inconsistent grain structure that you get with like non-powdered metallurgy. Powdered metallurgy, you wind up with a much finer grain structure, which is good. You got a really stable edge. You've got a really stable material that's consistent all the way through, but not lend itself to being aggressive at higher grits. So if you want that beautiful mirror polished edge, it's not going to cut the way you want. So for most of the super steels, with the exception of 20 CV, absolutely I stay closer to about 800 to 1,000 grit. No, you're not bothering me. I wasn't really planning on doing this. So 800 to 1,000 grit. Now on something like DC53, D2, 14C28N, you can take most of those steels way up into grit and not sacrifice the aggressiveness. Your wife cheated on you, what should you do? Well, this is not that type of channel, so I really don't know. Gibbo 5, 6-star, but the AI has definitely been weird. Hey, message deleted by Michelle. Bubbles is here. Bubbles is here. Hey, Bubbles. I haven't talked to Bubbles in a while. While I'm laid off, now that the wife and kid are back, I could make a trip out and film with you. Say what? That's not typically the best way to do it, but it'll work.
Well, I'm not coming back until lunch.
Usually you put it in a bag so it's not just sitting in the water.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, it depends on the steel. So different steels, and you also want to use different materials for sharpening steels. Now, I disagree with a lot of people. Aluminum oxide can be used on almost all steels. The problem with it is that in a bag, kiddo, a Ziploc bag.
We always use saran wrap at Jijabajan's.
Okay, that's fine. At any rate, so the water's still going to get into it, but that's fine.
It's fine. I usually cook it anyway.
That's true. But so depending on so you can sharpen until you start getting into stuff like when you start getting into stuff that has like titanium oxides. Is that what I'm thinking? Titanium and tungsten carbides, titanium carbides and tungsten carbides. Those things are incredibly hard, and you're not going to be able to do it. Like Rex 121, MagnaCut, or not MagnaCut, Maximet. Those you can't sharpen on aluminum oxide. It's just you're wasting your time. You have to go. You have to go with a diamond or a CBN, I believe. But everything else pretty much below that mark, you can't sharpen on aluminum oxide. The difference is it's gonna take all day. I did wash those. I washed them. That's why they're over there. So, yeah, it's, would you EDC a fanny pack? Depends. Am I carrying a pistol? You know, it was easier to keep clean without the towels under it. So, yeah, it just depends on the steel. Sharpening with diamond you can always sharpen with diamond. The problem I have is diamond is a lot of times not quality. There are some quality diamond stones out there, but they're really expensive. Those ceramic stones that I have will sharpen almost anything. I don't know, I haven't tried to do Rex 121 or MagnaCut on that 1000 grit stone, but I will tell you that I have taken 20 CV, stripped the edge completely off of it, wet that stone down, that ceramic 1000 grit Shapton Pro, and went from dull to sharp in like 10 minutes. So it's a great stone. So very seldom do I take a personal knife of mine, even like F400. I don't. Oh, there it is. That's the foot for this. I don't like a fine edge that won't cut. If it'll cut, then I'm great. Like there's some steels that do okay, like 8000 grit, like I said. With like S35DN, if you take it above 1000 grit and you try to cut line, it won't do it. It feels sharp, it is sharp, but the grain structure is really fine in it, and it almost burnishes the edge, so you lose the ability to cut things like line. I forgot what it was like trying to do a live feed with the entire family here.
It's culture.
I know it's weird. I forgot how rough it can be, but yeah, it's my problem with like Rex 121 and Maximet is I've seen a lot of people just take a chunk out of their blade doing something like cutting a zip tie. I've said it for a long time. Maximet and Rex 121 are not good options for most people. For some scenario, it's no different than a ceramic knife. They're in that same category. They're going to hold their edge forever. But then you've got the difficulty in sharpening with ceramics, and you also have to worry about the chipping and things like that. So I've literally seen guys take a chunk out of their blade, cutting a zip tie because they flex it, and Maximet is unforgiving when it comes to that, because it is as much as, well, production. Like Big Brown Bear, Sean, his Maximet is a completely different animal because he does a specific heat treat. but the average production Spyderco and Maximet, that's not for most people. How do I feel about Vanax? Vanax is just one of those nitrogen steels. So Vanax is not great. I don't like a lot of the nitrogen-based steels. I'm not a fan of Nitro V. I'm not a well, Vanax and Nitro V are pretty similar, to tell you the truth. And I don't. They're like the same thing. Like they really take a great edge at a lower grit, and they're great and they hold it okay. The problem I have is a lot of people like, oh, Nitro V and Vanax, they're so rust resistant, and when it really comes down to it, they aren't. I hate LC200N. What's the matter? They're leaking? How? I don't like LC200N. I never have. I've said it a bunch of times that I didn't like it. I'm gonna grab these and put these back, and then get out of the kitchen so my wife can have her kitchen. I know that will drive her. It will drive her nuts out here. So let's put these away. I tell people all the time not to buy Maximet. It's not for average user. The same scenarios for Maximet, they're the same scenarios for like specific things. They're meant for cutting metal. And the reason Maximet even exists is companies wanted, because tungsten carbide bits, they crack, they chip, they get dull, and then you really can't do a lot with them. They're basically a one-time use thing. And so when the cutting industry wanted to shift to something that was more sustainable, they wanted something that they could use that would be able to be resharpened, and they came up with this steel. There's a ton of tungsten carbide in Maximet. And so when, oh, I gotta grab this. I have to film this soon. So what they wanted was a cutting tool that they could basically resharpen with like a diamond wheel and a setup. And Maximet and Rex 121, which is a very, very similar material, that's what they came up with. And when they came up with that, they didn't think, like that wasn't, like the knife industry wasn't their target market, right? But if you guys know anything about knife makers and knife steels in general, what happens is that the plastics cutting industry kind of drives that. Steels like Elmax. Speaking of which, Elmax. So Elmax was something that was used in the plastics cutting industry. M390 20CV, same thing. They were designed for the plastic cutting industry. And the reason is plastic is extremely hard on the edge of anything. It is one of the worst things on an edge. Hair, paper, and plastic are the worst things on the edge of a knife. Because they are very wear resistant, they're very cut resistant, and they're hard on your edge. And so they keep coming up with steels that will stay sharper longer. They've got a better resistance to deformation. They've got better resistance to wear, and they've got all these additives. So a lot of the steels that we use in the knife world came directly from the plastics cutting industry. Well, the metal cutting industry also has kind of driven some of those things, but only when you got to like, oh, this is a sharpenable like tungsten carbide. You can sharpen tungsten carbide, but it's difficult. I've sharpened a tungsten carbide knife before. I've sharpened a ceramic knife before. Almost impossible to get where they were when you got them if you don't have the machines that they did. What was this? I have a knife in Vanax. I love that knife. It was a gift from Dirk Pinkerton. It was this. Did you see the new version of Spyderco's Lum Tonto? I did not. But then again, I'm not in the buying knives market these days, especially like I said, with being laid off and on unemployment and not knowing what's coming forward and going on from here for a while. Mike hates Lacey, EDC and Lace says Mike hates S30V. Golden does good S30V. They have it figured out. I have yet to get S30V that I liked. Not even Spyderco's. I was going to say, people think dropping my straight razor actually makes it sharper, but it just aligns the edge. Stropping. I was going to say dropping a straight razor is never a good idea. Is it? Oh, National Knife Day is on Saturday. I'm not good at honing knives. Sandrin. Yeah, Sandrin knives. I've sharpened. So Lace says, yeah, I've sharpened tungsten carbide from Sandrin. It's tough stuff, but it's not that hard to work with if you take your time and use diamond film. The problem I had with the Sandrin knives was I was trying to go too shallow, and I needed to stiff. It has to have a really pronounced profile. Well, I thinned the edge behind, and I couldn't figure out what the problems I was having. And then I did a micro bevel at the front that was really obtuse. So you wound up with the best of both worlds. You had the obtuse edge that would stay at the very, very front, but then I'd thin the material behind it. And the guy was really happy with it, but I don't think I would ever sharpen another Sandrin. Like it made a mess. Like there was just black, nasty tungsten carbide dust all over my workbench. I didn't sharpen it dry. But it definitely made a mess. And I'm gonna have to shift soon. The sun is shifting this direction. As you can see, we're in a weird shadow. This is absolutely the best knife that Matt Diskin has made. This is that Diskin Fire double action. I have the Revolution that was Elijah Isham's that he gave me, and that has a special place. But if I had to pick, it would be this one. Here, let me turn this around so you can actually see it. We'll get some better light for you guys here. So this one is in Elmax, titanium and carbon fiber, and it has that hidden switchblade mechanism under this scale. So you can just slow roll this open like a regular pocket knife, but that mechanism right there, that little latch on that scale, deploys the auto mechanism on it. Okay, so I actually love those knives. That company, Dagger, Daggerr. They are actually really cool knives. I'm gonna switch positions here so that you guys aren't like getting blasted with the sun. Oh, that is way better. They're actually really cool. They have a couple of really cool knives. Jared sent me one that was an OTF switchblade, and it had the switch at either end, so you could deploy it from a reverse grip or from forward grip, but you could also take it apart. It was an awesome, awesome knife, but that's the only one I saw. That's the only one that I've gotten to see so far. And I was impressed with it. It seemed to be pretty well done. And I didn't follow up to see if there were any more models that Jared had, but they seem to be pretty well made. I was pretty impressed with it. It didn't feel cheap, and it definitely, for the price, was well worth it. Was this Dagger does make cool knives. This is EDC and Lace speaking. Said the owner is a Russian male and female. I've spoken with them a bunch of times. Really passionate about making a good product. They do make a really good product. It's quality, and it's you know what? It is called Koshki. Koshki. I can't pronounce. I don't know Russian. I've been to Russia, but I don't know Russian, so I don't know what that means. But you guys see, I still have a black eye from the dog. They're 50. So Lacey says they're 50-ish dollar knives are what you expect for $50. Their higher end stuff is all on point for prices they demand. Yeah, I'll tell you a knife brand, and I haven't talked about them for a while. Wait, yeah, see that scar? Every time I do this, I don't like to think I'm vain, but I definitely do find this big scar on my face troubling. At any rate, Remet Knives. Remet Knives is a company that I keep forgetting to mention, and they do such a good job at every price point. You know, there's some companies that you're like, they're lower and not. Kai America. ZT, great knives. Kershaw, garbage. Like their higher end stuff is okay. Like I'm not gonna say they're great knives. I don't like ZT knives, but I don't think that they're worth the price, but they are okay knives. Kershaw stuff, garbage stuff, but then you have some companies that just at any price point just seem to get it right. Remet, even their cheap stuff is done really well. It's just in like lower end materials. What's the other one? Lacey, help me out with this. It's the Russian. It's the Russian company that I've had a bunch of their knives on the channel. They have cheap stuff and then higher end stuff. Not Shiro. There's another one. There's another brand out there, and I can't think of it. It's got a weird name to it. I'll think of it eventually. Carl Johnson 121. What's up, dude? What's up with you? Not Reich. Reich is a Chinese company. Oh, I can't think. But there's several companies that just get it right at every price. CJRB, typically even their cheaper stuff is really good. Well, CJRB is pretty cheap. But there's just companies that do a good job. We Knife Company. We Knife Company, they've got some higher end stuff. But when you start going down into Sencut and Civivi and Sencut, it's not Rushblade. I can't think of the name of the company. I've done several knives that Jared have sent. Kaiser, there's another one. Kaiser does a really good job at every price point. I have had, Cansep. No, that's not it. That's not it. I want to say it starts with an R. I would have to go back through and find videos I've done about them. I just can't think of it right now. But there's a handful of companies out there that just, they get it right every time. And it doesn't seem like the quality changes from their high-end stuff. No, but that is one. That is another really good company, Protech. That's another good company I'd forgotten about. But like, there are some companies that just, you get a level of quality that is standard across the board. It's up there with their high-end stuff, and you just get a really, really refined. And then at the lower-end stuff, it's still executed the same way. The difference between them, like what I said with Remet, I've seen a lot of the more expensive stuff that Remet did on other people's channels, and the stuff just seems to be the same. They just use cheaper materials. Another one, QSP. QSP is a company that the process is the same, but the materials change a little bit. QSP, if you buy one of their higher end knives, you get a great knife. But if you go and you buy a cheaper version of that knife, you're gonna get the same level of quality. It's this, I've said this about their knives when I talk about the Penguin, which was the first QSP knife I ever owned. I got the QSP Penguin And I got mine in D2 and denim micarta. And I said, this is a great knife. And then I got to see some of the much more expensive ones of that knife, the different version, the titanium and M390. And I'm like, here's the thing. Like no, that's not it either, Gabe. The knife is no better. The knife itself is no better. No, I'm not talking about CKF. It's, be safe. Are you taking my car or Mama's car? Okay. So, I got that QSP Penguin and everybody's like, oh, you should get this one. I was like, why? Like, why? This is a $40 knife. That knife you're trying to sell me on is no better. It's not any better of a knife. It's maybe in extensively better materials, but D2 is not bad. And I coated mine so it doesn't rust. It's got a really good edge. Well, hey, buddy. Did you come up to say hi? Say hi. So their stuff is great. So I didn't see the sense in buying a more expensive. I have a buddy that has like every version of the Penguin. And I'm like, he's like, oh, I got all these knives. I was like, no, you have a knife. It's the same thing with people that buy the Spydercos in every color and configuration and the sprint runs. And I do get upset with that. I love Spyderco. I've gotten back to where I love Spyderco knives. One of my most carried knives is my Spyderco PM2. And if that's not in my pocket, typically the military 2 is, because that's rapidly taking of my favorite Spydercos, it's taking that throne. But I forget where I was going with that. Oh, but yeah, but I don't see the sense in buying like every configuration of a specific knife. Because you've spent money on that, and now you have, I have a bunch of this one knife, but I don't have any other stuff. So a lot of times I carry this, but I don't have duplicates of any knife except the Ferrum Forge NTAC, and that's because I bought my father one as a retirement gift when he passed away. It came back, and now it's my daughter's, and it's in a case. So it's the only knife that I own duplicates of. There's only one knife that I've ever bought twice, and that was the Chris Reese Sabenza. And I bought that twice because I had one, I sold it, and immediately regretted it and bought a new one. The old one was really old. Hey, buddy. And my buddy. So it's I don't like the marketing where they try to get people to collect, because then it doesn't feel like a knife hobby. It feels almost like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon, where you get all the different types and all the different colors, and I gotta have this knife, but I gotta have it in this. I typically will find the configuration that works best for me, and like I have the S90 VPM2, I have the Crewwear and Micarta Military 2, both awesome knives. I would not try to buy multiple versions of this knife, even though this is the knife of the year. This is the best knife. I think this is the best knife Microtech has made. This is my favorite Microtech by far. It is my knife of the year this year, and it's probably, it has displaced. I want you guys to put this in perspective. This knife has displaced my Grimsman Norseman, $1,000 knife. It's displaced it. This spends more time in my pocket than it does, and there's a couple reasons for it. One, this is an incredible knife. Two, I can't replace the Norseman, and this is a fraction of the price, even though it's every bit as good. This is an incredible bargain, and these are available at Blade HQ right now. This exact configuration, except with I think right now what they have is the black coated blade. This is going to drive me nuts. So there's no real good reason to own multiple of one knife unless you use that knife for a specific purpose and you use it every day and you don't have time to sharpen in between. Case in point, growing up on a farm, the hoof trimmers that would come out, they're hoof knives. They had, when they would show up, they had an entire box full of them. And because cutting a horse's hoof or a cow's hoof, really, really, really hard. What are you doing? It's keratin. It's the same as hair. It's really hard on the edge. So they'll go through a knife really fast, and then they'll take it home and they'll take care of it, strop it, or they buy disposable blades and things like that. That is an exception to that rule. Like if this was a specific knife I used for a specific purpose and I used it all day, every day, and I didn't have time to sharpen, it would make sense for me to have multiple of that knife so that when this one got dull, I would put it down, I would grab another fresh one, I would use it until that one was dull, and then I would go back and I would fix the edge on the knives that I had used. Lacey says, for me, I also only buy sprint runs that I know will hold or increase value. See, I don't collect for that. I really don't care, but you're not going with her, bud. You're not going. So, like typically if I buy a knife, it's here. It's just never going to go anywhere, which is why I have so many knives. I did that video where it says I have over 200 knives. It's well over 200. It's probably closer to 500. But that didn't seem to make sense. Like people are like, you have how many? Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. Yeah, I love you too. I love you too. Okay, enough. So I don't like the sprint runs. Because with the sprint runs, just like first production runs with Benchmade, like Benchmade knives are gonna be fucked when you get one anyway. But if you get a first production run, guaranteed it's gonna be all screwed up. Never buy a first production run of any Benchmade, ever. Don't buy a Benchmade ever anyway. That's just the way it goes. But don't buy a first production run Benchmade. It's going to be even worse. There's always going to be problems. I find that to be the problem with Spyderco sprint runs. I never have seen one that was not just AFU. Just all fucked up. Like the worst grinds I've ever seen on a knife from Spyderco, and they have some pretty shitty grinds, let's be honest. I lucked out with my military 2. It is absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no blade play in it. There's no misaligned edge. There's no misgrind at the heel and tip. It is absolutely perfect, and that's the first time I can absolutely ever say that about a Benchmade, or I mean a Spyderco. When you get the sprint runs, they're usually pretty bad. And so I just avoid them. I wait until those knives have been out, one that's just going to be in the catalog. And so you guys, if you're new to the knife industry, sprint runs are something that they do where they're like, oh, we're going to do this many knives and we're going to do it in a specific color coordination. Like the handles are going to be this color, the material is going to be this, and we're only doing a sprint run of it. It's only going to be this one limited run, and it's only going to be available at this vendor. I had a Spyderco sprint run, native. It was a Spyderco native. It was available only at Knife Center. It was done in the Real Earth brown, coyote brown FRN and XHP steel. And it was only available at Knife Center because Knife Center was the first online vendor of Spyderco ever. And so they did a sprint run that was only available, and I had so many problems with that knife when it came. I don't like XHP to begin with, but the grind on it was so bad, and everything. And then I don't like XHP, so like that was the thing. I wound up giving it to my brother-in-law. It just was not. I didn't like the knife itself, and then with the problems I had with it. EDC and Lace says, I will say the sprint runs are usually misground badly and the knives won't be put together all that great. That's what I'm saying. Like, so, like people pay more for a sprint run to get a worse knife. It's like wiping before you poop. It makes zero goddamn sense. None, 0 cents. So, well, guys, I had intended to only do this for an hour. It's been a little bit more than an hour. So we're probably going to end this. We're going to say bye because I want to spend some time with my wife. She might need some help. Like she's got clothes and stuff that she's unpacking, putting away, and I need to help my buddy. My best buddy. Look at the size of the head on this beast. If he decided to bite someone with the size of his nugget, if he decided to bite someone, it would be Dunskies. But he's not that kind of dog. He's just a big sweetheart. Aren't you, buddy? You smell good, too. So I think we're going to sign off from here. I'm going to do some stuff. I may grab the other camera and go film a little bit off-site and things like that. Does a lock on an auto knife make it stronger? A lock on any knife makes it stronger. Yeah, there we go. Lots of stuff going on. He's very, they've been gone for 3 months and he's almost, I don't know if he knows how, like it's almost like it's too much. It's just been me and him. Well, my friend Nick was staying here for a while, but I think it's a little bit of anxiety inducing for him, the big change. Oh, buddy. But yeah, guys, I love you all. There's a video there's a couple videos that have went up recently that you need to check out. There's one where I talk about why I have so many knives. There's one I talk about knives I would trust with my life, and it's absolutely not a joke. There's probably going to be another, like a part 2 of that, because I do have a lot of knives that fall into that category when it comes to like fixed blade and outdoor and things like that. So it's going to be another one, and I'm probably going to film it somewhere else. Probably going to film it up on the side of the mountain. I'm going to go up after it cools down. I'm going to go up. I'm going to film a lot up on the mountain. It's not super hot here right now, but it's like maybe mid 80s during the day, and I don't want to climb up the side of the mountain. If you guys remember when I did that the walk and talk where I took you guys all around San Diego and at the pool and stuff like that, Mount San Miguel, I had went up that morning and I went up to about 1,800 feet on one side, and it was so foggy I couldn't film. And so I tried to film, and I was like going up the mountain, and it just got to where I was above the clouds, and because the marine layer had came in, and it was like dark. It was so foggy, and I was like, I got to go back down and go to the other peak. So there's 2 peaks. There's one that's higher and one that's lower, and you go across the valley. So I wound up climbing that mountain twice that morning. So I want to go up there when it's a nice day and we can get some good views, because you can get some really cool views of downtown San Diego from up there and stuff like that. But I also don't want to do it when it's like 90 degrees and I'm climbing up a mountain. Like even though I was like at 1,000 feet, it's a pretty steep climb. It's not that far. It's not like I'm climbing Mount Everest, but it's really steep. It's no joke steep as all get out, to where it's like you gotta be careful, like what you're doing. And the other thing too is you gotta be careful. Like I won't take him because there are a ton of rattlesnakes. I took him to the park at the bottom of the mountain the week after I filmed that video, and just walking around the ball fields at the park and stuff, and into the leading into the trails, I saw 3 rattlesnakes just like in the park. So I can't take him up on the side of that mountain. He does not have the wherewithal to not get bitten by a rattlesnake. I'm telling you right now, he will. Like that would be, and I can't afford that. So at any rate, guys, yeah. Keep your eyes open. There'll be a video going up tomorrow. Go check my back catalog of videos. Share the videos. Affiliate links and stuff for, like, if you're going to buy knives, there's a ton of affiliate links and stuff down below. They all support the channel. They don't cost you anything. But if you really want to do, because there's a lot of stuff going on, I don't care about your political leanings. If you are tired of trying to walk that minefield of consumer products, like at the grocery store, like oh, I don't want to support this because I'm a Democrat. I don't want to support this because I'm a Republican. If you have a problem with that, the one place I will send you, and I absolutely love their products, it's the Coffee brand coffee. There's a link down below that saves you 10%. Used to be a sponsor. The owner can be polarizing. The owner of the company can be polarizing, but the company has nothing to do with any of that. So, guys, that's it. I love you all. I'm going to get this microphone off and spend some time with my family. I will see you guys tomorrow at noon for the pre-recorded video. I love you, and I'll talk to you later.